up, guys, and welcome back to Skins in the Game. I'm Tim. That over there is J-Dubs. How you doing today, J-Dubs?
Doing good. I'm living the dream. How you doing?
Not too shabby. Gotta do something real quick behind the scenes, and I just did it, and we're here. All right, so we got some stuff to talk about for Washington. Eric Bienemy interview tomorrow. Greg Roman was yesterday. We'll talk about those two things. We got Carr gets cut from the Raiders. Two things. Do we want him? And why isn't Carson Wentz already been announced to be cut? Chase Young's fifth-year option. This was last week, but we didn't talk about it, so we're going to throw it in to this show of how Ron may be showing a challenge to Chase Young. Then we'll talk about Super Bowl, of course, and then finish it off with Weddle. But as every show, we're going to start with the dad joke of the week.
All right. What did the cross-eyed teacher say?
What?
I can't control my pupils.
I can't control my pupils. Ouch. Well played. I like that one. I had a cross-eyed teacher in school. I literally did. And it was in 7th grade. Oh, no, 8th grade. It was 8th grade. 100% 8th grade. And there was one time I got moved to the front of the class because I wasn't very good. And I was talking too much in the back of the class. And I was literally the
Shocker.
I was at the very front of the classroom. And I was doing something. And she started saying something to me. And I look up, and I swear I could not tell if she was talking to me. She was looking straight at the dude right next to me, at the chair next to me. And I felt so bad because it was a genuine, like, is she talking to me or not?
I had a similar thing at work. There was a guy that had, like, a lazy eye, and I always looked at the wrong eye. And, like, he'd be talking to me, and I'm looking at him going, why are you not looking at me? Then I'd look at the other eye, and he's looking dead at me, but the other eye was.
Yeah, she's just.
But I just was thinking, man,
are
why are
you
you looking up at? Yeah.
That's too funny. What
Yeah,
up,
his eyes
Roger?
would be looking up here.
Not an EB fan. We can. We're going to keep Wentz, probably. We're not keeping Wentz. No, I just thought that was an interesting thing, so we're going to talk about it. But first, let's get into. We're going to do as we start every show with the draft this week. It is a draft of Washington Redskins players of the past, our favorites. And it's just players, no Joe Gibbs. All right, not all-time Redskins, just players. And last week, J-Dubs got the first pick. So I got the first pick here. And I know a lot of people will go with number 28. Well-deserved. But I am taking Sammy Ball.
See, you had my number one. That's who I was
it is your number one. He what a stud. 4 touchdowns in a single game, and he played safety and got 4 interceptions in a single game. He was kicked. He did it all, and he was way before his time back in like the 30s and 40s and stuff like that. Played a long time for us as well. Won championship games. Sammy Ball, my number one. So who you got number 2?
So also add. So he had 31 interceptions in his career, and he was the punter, and averaged over 44 yards a punt during his career.
Yep.
So that was by far. I mean, there's no way. There's other guys out there I love, but man, Sammy's got to be number one. So you took my number one.
Oh, nice. All right, who you got 2?
So I argued between 2, and I'm going with Daryl Green.
Yeah, he's
because character guy, great
played
player.
Forever. Won Super Bowls with us. Stud, fastest man alive. Yeah, I like it. All right, my number 3, I'm going with the Hall of Fame wide receiver, Art Monk. Give me number 81.
Did he make it to the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, he's a Hall of Fame.
Like, that was real recent, right? Weren't people complaining that he wasn't? Sorry.
No, he's been in there for a while. For sure.
Okay. So, man, it's so tough to number them. I just put these all near the top. I'm going with John Riggins.
John Riggins, there you go. He was down my list a little bit, but definitely okay. So he's that was your 3rd pick.
Yep. So we're both
right.
we both picked 3.
No, that was your 2. That was your 2. I took Ball and Monk. You took Green.
Oh, right. Okay.
So now my number 3, I'm going with arguably the best quarterback that's played with us, Sonny Jurgensen, at number 3.
Damn.
All right, who's your number 3?
No. I'm gonna go with Dexter Manley.
Dexter Manley was next on my list. Very cool, very cool. All right, I got one of the hogs, and I will go with the first hog, Jeff Bostic. 13 seasons, Studley. That is my pick number 4.
All right, well then I'm gonna stay on there with that and go with the offensive line with Joe Jacoby.
Boom. Boom, 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 boom. Nice. All right. Well, we had my first 8. So my first 8 have moved off the board. So I decided to go with my era for my last pick. And would have been one of the best all time if he did not pass Sean Taylor at number 5. Is my final pick.
I'm sorry, was that number 5? Really? I thought you were at 4.
No, yeah, I got Ball, I got Monk, I got Jurgensen, and I got Bostic. And then
okay. All right.
Sean Taylor.
So
Dave Butts. Who you got? The final pick of the draft.
It's tough. I'm gonna go with Charlie Taylor.
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't have him. My last one was a really he's probably my favorite player because I grew up watching him. But just an honorable mention, Chris Cooley. I love the dude, and he's been on Redskins radio for a while now. But he really isn't deserving of a top 10 spot. But he was one of my favorites growing up.
I'm sorry, who was that?
Chris Cooley.
Okay. Yeah, Chris was a good player. I just wanted to say that in 13 seasons with the Skins, Charlie Taylor had 649 receptions for 9,100 yards and 79 touchdowns, and he combined for 10,800 net yards and 11 rushing touchdowns. So
we just drafted our favorite or our best Washington players there, Dave. But no, yeah, Charlie Taylor definitely deserving. On this list that I pulled up a while just to get the names from to confirm, Charlie Taylor was number 4 on this guy's list. So definitely deserving of a higher spot. Somebody that we did snub though, for sure, and I probably should have taken him over Sean Taylor, was B. Mitch. Second all time in all-purpose yards. Literally nobody has gotten more yards other than Jerry Rice on B. Mitch. And he should be in the Hall of Fame. But anyway, all right. Very cool. Very cool. All right.
Yeah, but didn't he come from the Eagles? Or did he come from the Eagles, or am I thinking of the wrong thing?
I don't know.
It's Sonny Jurgensen.
I don't know. Maybe. Anyway, all right. That was fun. All right. You ready to hop into some Washington news?
Sure. Why not?
All right. Well, first off, happy birthday, Daryl Green. He is... I don't know how... I didn't look up how old he is, but I just see that it was his birthday today. So shout out Daryl Green. You made our second pick of our draft, or the first pick of J-Dub's draft. And, yeah, very cool.
He's got to be close to my age.
Probably.
I'm trying to think when...
Alvin Walton was Rogers' guy. Mark Mosley's good. Chip Lowmiller. Vernon. Very cool. But anyway,
yeah. No, I was going to look up Green's birthday, or age. But no, Mark Mosley was Mr. Automatic.
Yep.
This is
MVP kicker. No, never happened before, and it'll probably never happen again. What a stud. Very cool. But shout out to, did you find it yet?
Oh wow, he's 63. So within 5 years of my age, so not that far off. But I didn't think he was quite that old. But man, he looks, man, he barely looks like he ages.
True.
And I just know your aunt.
Yeah.
Real quick, just one thing about Daryl
it.
Green. When your cousin Matt was very young, Jean said that they went somewhere and they had a chance to see Daryl Green, and when she went up there with Matt, he hopped over the rope or whatever that was corded off and got down on one knee and talked to Matt. She said for like 5 minutes.
That's pretty cool.
And so I just thought that guy was a class guy, 100% top to bottom. So anyway,
for sure. one of our best of our team and very well deserving of the second pick. On that list that I saw, he was the number one and deserving a number one too. But we like Sammy Ball over here. But anyway, all right. So there's one interview that happened yesterday for Washington and another one that's happening tomorrow. And Eric Bienemy is tomorrow. He just won the Super Bowl with the Chiefs. And he might be looking to make a lateral move here. I believe all the head coaching jobs are taken, so that's all he's got if he wants to leave Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid to get his own way. What do you think about us interviewing good old Eric Bienemy here?
Well, I haven't, and I told you before the show I had an interesting take on this, and I'm not sure what Kansas City would get if somebody picks him up, if anything. But I thought it was very interesting that Andy Reid went out of his way. I don't know if it was today, but I read about it today that was saying that Eric Bienemy calls the plays. He's the guy calling the plays and basically went out of his way. And you know how Andy Reid works? That if he wanted to keep or was that worried about keeping Eric Bienemy, I don't think he would be saying that. I think he'd like the questions. I think he would like why can't he get a job, blah, 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 like make it, well, because it's Andy Reid, that he would like that confusion. And the fact that he went out of his way to defend him saying, oh, no, the offense is all Eric Bienemy. Don't believe it for a second, but that's what he's telling. But maybe he's trying, maybe for some reason he's fine with him leaving. You know what I'm saying?
I think Andy Reid is probably more coming from the spot of he knows how bad EB wants a head coaching job, and so he's not going to stifle his ability. I think that's probably where more likely he's coming from. Rather than
I'm not saying he would go out of his way to say something bad about him.
Yeah.
But, and I get it. Maybe he's just feeling like, hey, the guy deserves a head coaching job, so I'm going to go say something for him. That's possible too. But I just know how Andy Reid thinks. And
yeah. I mean, they have Matt Nagy still on the thing, and he coached well as an offensive guy back then with Alex Smith, and maybe Mahomes' first season, I think, before EB got there. But yeah, no. I am intrigued by Eric Bienemy, and I want him because I do think what's hurt Eric Bienemy from getting a head coaching job is two things. One, he's always in the Super Bowl. And
so it's always late. Yeah.
It's always late in the process. And teams want to get their head coach in there quickly to be able to start hiring down the line, coaches down the line. And just you want to have it locked up. You want to start making decisions. You don't want to wait until now February. Imagine having to wait until mid-February. We've already had the Senior Bowl. We've already well into draft process for a lot of cases. We're a month away from the new season starting. So always being in the AFC Championship or deeper is, I think, hurt Eric Bieniemy's chances of actually legitimately getting a spot, right? Because now instead of having chances at 7 spots, you only have a chance at 2 or 1, if any, by this point.
Right.
So,
well, and I thought it was interesting. Yeah. Somebody said that I read a meme or whatever that the defensive coordinator for the Eagles got a head coaching job. So this was a Bienemy, why isn't he getting a shot? It's like, so the guy that his defense allowed the team to score 38 points on him got a head coaching job, but the guy that ran the offense that scored the 38 points against him can't get a job. And I thought that was just an interesting take on it. I'm like,
yeah. Wait, where did the DC for the Eagles go?
Oh, hold on. I have to look it up, but I saw it today. And
let me know in a second because I'm going to keep going here. All right, so.
Okay, yes, please.
And so the second reason I think that's really hurt Eric Bienemy from getting a chance at a job is, and maybe this is something silly, but right now with how the rules work is if he gets hired as a head coaching job, you're giving one of the best teams an extra 3rd round pick. You're handing the Chiefs, because right now if a minority coach gets hired from an OC or a DC spot to a head coaching position, the team that had him before gets an extra third-round pick. And you're handing the Chiefs. I think that people would be less interested or less worried about handing us a third-round pick than they would handing the Chiefs, who are already always in the AFC Championship game, just handing them extra capital. So I think those two big things have hurt them. But obviously another thing that's hurt them, and this is less controversial, is because nobody knows, is it him or Andy Reid, like you were alluding to earlier. Nobody knows. And it's really... And Matt Nagy didn't do a very good job. Right? Doug Peterson did a good job. He ended up getting fired, though. He was the offensive coordinator under Reid before. So, I don't know. It's hit or miss. It's interesting that he can't get a job. He's interviewed several times, like 11 or something times, or maybe a dozen times, and he hasn't gotten one. But I hope that we get Eric Bienemy. I hope he does well. I hope he develops Sam Howell. And then I hope he gets a head coaching job somewhere else, and then we get an extra third-round pick on top of it. And he's got to learn something. Okay, let's say it is Andy Reid. Andy Reid is the mastermind, which I do believe, of course. It's his offense. It's his design.
Involved. He's definitely involved. There's no question.
Let's say it is. It's all Andy Reid. He's been there for what, now 3-4 years? 4 years, I think? With him and Pat Mahomes? He's had to have learned a lot.
Oh, no question.
And now calling plays, he does have that experience because he 100% is calling plays now. So I'm very interested in Eric Bienemy, not because I think it's going to be a guaranteed it works out, because it's hard to judge when you have Andy Reid above you and Pat Mahomes as your quarterback. It makes it a lot easier. But if he brings some of those play designs from Andy Reid, he brings it over, our offense is going to get better from what we've had the last few years.
I'm 100% with you. I'm absolutely fine and have no problem at all and would love to see Bienemy get here. By the way, Jonathan Gannon was hired by the Cardinals.
As what?
As the defensive coordinator from the Eagles got hired as the head coach of Cardinals.
Really?
Yeah, that's what according to Fox Sports.
Wow, that's interesting. Very interesting. Okay.
But I just love that meme that the guy that allowed a team to score 38 gets a head coaching job before the guy that scored the 38.
Yeah.
I just thought that was funny.
It is a bit misleading, though, because their defense did do a decent job. And you can see Mahomes only had 182 yards. Like, the punt return definitely hurt, and now all of a sudden they are at the 5-yard line. And then you had the scoop and score. So, if you take 14 points away, now you're looking at, okay, they gave up 24 points to Mahomes. Right. They did have a missed field goal, though, so it should be 27. You gave up 27 to Mahomes. It's not the end of the world, and they had a tremendous year all year long. But yeah,
no, I get it. It's things are rarely that black and white. I just thought it was fun.
Yeah, I don't like that. I think that's weird for Arizona. I don't know if I like that at all, but good for them. Hopefully it works out, I guess, for them.
Well, what has Arizona done lately other than every year it's like, oh, Arizona's going to be in the mix. They're going to be good, and then they're not.
Yeah, I mean, they start out like gangbusters, it seems like, every year. They're 2 years ago, they were like the last undefeated team, and then they finished like 10-7 or something like that.
Yeah, they were something like they were like 7-0 and then ended up finishing. It was stupid.
4-7 at the end of the year, or maybe even worse.
Yeah, I don't think they started out 7-0 and they did not get to 10 wins. I don't think.
Yeah, but Arizona has a QB issue, says Bud. But no, if you go back to the dude's Cliff Kingsbury's time in Texas Tech, it was the same story. Start out like gangbusters. I guess people would figure him out. He would not be able to make the adjustments. Like the first 8 weeks in his college season, he was amazing, and then the final 3 weeks, his record was horrible. So it's actually been a thing for Cliff Kingsbury for his whole career, which is interesting. But anyway, enough about Cliff Kingsbury. Enough about Arizona. I want to talk about Derek Carr. But a little bit tied into Derek Carr, because Derek Carr was announced that he is going to get cut. It has been announced. They're going to take $40 million guaranteed or something and hand it off to Derek Carr or whatever it is. It's weird. But they don't want him anymore, so they can't. He refused to sign a no-trade clause, which I don't blame him. It's like, dude, you paid me all this money. Now you hire a coach that doesn't want me. This is dumb. Pay me my money and just let me go. I'm not going to
Right.
sign off to get traded somewhere and try to gut another team and make them pay all that money. No, you pay me the money you said you were going to pay me. So I actually don't have any ill will for Derek Carr on that front. But I have to say this before we talk about Derek Carr anymore. If Derek Carr can be announced to be cut, why hasn't Carson Wentz been announced to be cut yet? Is there really a chance that they're talking, we want to make sure that we give the OC more opportunity or more choices? Like maybe he wants Carson Wentz. If the OC wants Carson Wentz, that's a red flag. That is a red flag for sure. But do you think there's actually a chance that Carson Wentz stays?
The only thing I can think of is at a backup.
But
that
his
as
price,
a mentor. No, I know. And
Yeah.
but just you asked the question. I don't think he's
Yeah.
going to stay. I just don't think the Redskins have made any moves yet, and they're in the midst of trying to sell the team or in that whole. So they just haven't kicked it in. And right now they're trying to find an OC, and who knows? Maybe they want to get their OC locked in and let the OC say, okay, like here's who you got. There's no time limit on right now on when they can let Carson go. So maybe it's hey. We're not doing anything with the team until we get our OC in, and we want to know your opinion and let you.
Yeah, I want to know your opinion on Carson Wentz. If it's above 5% chance that he has a chance to work out here, you're not getting hired. Yeah. I question your ability to decipher how good a player is. If you have any
I think he's a done. It's a done deal. Yeah. I just think right now
it's
they're
just slow.
On
it's just
other
slow
things.
Moving.
Yes,
I guess so. I'm. Everybody else is saying, no chance Wentz stays. Wentz better not stay. Off with Josh Rosen. Yeah, Tim. I think we're waiting for the OC. That's fine, but I don't know. Raiders were smart to let Derek Carr contract because it wasn't guaranteed. With Derek Carr, it wasn't. I thought he's guaranteed like $40 million. Am I crazy like that? Maybe I'm misreading or mishearing something. But either way, okay. I just had to get that meme out there because I'm just sitting here thinking, like, all right, if you could cut Derek Carr, why can't we cut Carson Wentz by now? But you know what? We're waiting for whatever reason.
Well, and here's an interesting.
I don't know what
stat.
the reason is, but okay.
I was kind of looking up, the history or Derek Carr's career, and he has the season passing record for the Raiders at 48.04. But not only that, he's got 4 out of the 5. Out of the top 5, the only person that breaks the top 5 is Rich Gannon. Other than that, 4 other years, Derek Carr has the top 4 passing season passing yards for the Raiders.
Oh, yeah. Which is common in a lot of organizations these days of like, because we had guys like Sonny Jurgensen or Joe Theismann or Doug Williams or Mark Rippon, and yet our best season is Kirk Cousins. It's a different era and things like that. It's interesting. But yeah, no, I do find it odd. First of all, they should have never paid him all that money. He was never worth like $40 million or $35 million or whatever they paid him. There's too much.
Few quarterbacks that are.
Yeah, exactly. But now that he's cut, we don't have to trade any capital. Is there a price that makes sense to you to bring in Derek Carr into Washington?
What, as a starter or as to be able to be able to have competition to be the starter? Or as a backup mentor kind of thing?
You know what? Take it whichever one you want. Maybe all three. Like, where do you think in all three or whatever? Or is it a no-go to start? Absolutely no-go, and then go from there? Or what? Right now, the options are all open theoretically. If he's even willing to take a backup role or something like that, where do you think we're at with Derek Carr? Or is there any scenario that makes sense to bring him in? Maybe there's zero in your mind. What scenario makes sense?
Well, and I understand your question. I'm trying to think. I've watched Derek Carr in prime time. I don't watch a lot of Raiders games on Sunday afternoon if the Redskins are on, so I don't have a lot of data from watching him. He seems to be a serviceable quarterback. I see somebody in the chat saying $20 million. I don't think you can get him for that.
20 to $25 million. $20 million is a fair price for Carr. Yep.
I don't think you'll get him for that. But no, I'm not paying 25 plus to bring in Derek Carr. I don't think. There's a reason why he couldn't make it in Oakland.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
because they're not in Oakland anymore. But no.
I know, and they're not the Redskins anymore, but I still call them the Redskins.
No, I'm sorry. That was bad.
But no, the rate. Sorry, the rate. You're right, but
yeah,
there's a reason why he didn't make it with the Raiders, and they wanted to get rid of him. Now, is it an attitude problem? I don't think it's talent, but there's some reason why they didn't want to keep him there. And I think how old is Derek Carr? Like 28?
30, maybe
29?
Somewhere close to 30, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. So a quarterback basically
in his prime.
Yep. Yeah. So there's a reason why the Raiders don't want him. And that's always a red flag to me. It's, a lot of times I know teams get rid of somebody and they shine in another situation. And I just, the fact they can get him for just money and no picks, if they did make a move for that, I wouldn't be crying, screaming.
Yeah.
But it doesn't excite me with the thought of Derek Carr. Like, oh my God, we got to get him.
100%. Yeah, and there probably will be some sort of bidding war for Derek Carr, because I agree with Bod, wherever he said it. Carr doesn't suck. Carr's not
No, he
bad.
does not.
He's just not worth what they paid him. And that is why he is not going to remain in Las Vegas. It's not because he's not a good... Because also, if you look at the Raiders' defenses, it's something insane. I think every year he's been there, they've been bottom 3 or something stupid like that. Or definitely bottom 5, I want to say. And most years, they are dead last in defense. Dead last. They're giving him nothing on the other side of the football to help him elevate to the next. And a part of that is you paid Derek Carr too much. So it's hard to add pieces, but also they've cut first-round picks. They drafted a first-round running back. You don't do that, in my opinion. But they cut Alex Leatherwood from 2 years ago. They're one of the tackle they drafted from Alabama. They have just, and of course Henry Ruggs didn't work out. Unfortunately with the whole car accident and the crazy thing. So they're not giving him very much. They did go out and get Derek Carr, and for a while, not Derek Carr, Davante Adams, which was nice. But unfortunately, Davante Adams was like his only dude because Hunter Renfrow went down, Darren Waller went down, and he was putting up decent numbers until the end where he had like one game where he threw like 4 interceptions in a game or something horrible. So it's an interesting question. Where do I draw the line for Derek Carr? Now, for me, I don't want Carr, but it really has nothing to do with Carr, right? It's because I really want to see what Sam Howell does. I really want to give Sam Howell the keys to show that he could potentially be the guy, right? On a rookie contract. But let's say Sam Howell was not technically in the picture, or, I don't even want to say what I was about to think, what I just thought of, but let's just forget that. And I could go out and get Derek Carr for whatever I wanted. I would pay him $20 million to come here to play starting quarterback. I think he's a quarterback worthy of $20 million that you can win with at $20 million, just like the Rams did with Matt Stafford at $20
assuming we make the offensive line right. If we get a decent offensive line, then yeah, I think a lot of people. By the way, there's some good comments in the chat. Yeah. I've been reading that.
Yeah, read what you want.
That wait a minute, now it's going up. But basically, Bot said, you don't throw for 4,800 yards and suck.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was before Davante Adams.
But then Kyle makes a good point. He doesn't suck. We just don't need to pay that. If we could get a bargain or a decent price for him, yeah, but 28 million, no. Right. We already did that with Carson Wentz. How did that work out for you?
Yeah, and so Sam could be a guy, but Carr would be better for at least 1 year. First of all, there's no guarantee in that. I really think Sam Howell has really, really good potential. Does Derek Carr have a better shot of being good than Sam Howell? 100%, because he's already proven it in the league that he could be a legit starting quarterback in the league. But Sam Howell could be because what Derek Carr does lack is a bit of arm strength. He's like a slightly better, I don't want to say that either, but basically Derek Carr is not somebody that absolutely wows you with his athleticism, but he can sling the ball. He can put up numbers for you, and I'm not pressed. I did want him a couple of, even last offseason, but 2 off seasons, I wanted to go get Derek Carr. I really did. I thought he could be an interesting spot here. But now that we have Sam Howell, I really want to give him the reins. So whoever we hire as a offensive coordinator, bring somebody from that system and be the backup to Sam Howell. Whoever we end up hiring. And hopefully it's not Greg Roman. Oh, yeah, that is something I skipped. All right. Let's go back to this.
That probably wasn't a problem. You skipped it because I don't think anybody in the chat was big on Greg Roman.
I just got to say it out loud. I do not want Greg Roman.
Somebody said that, and I forget who it was in the chat, said that we'd have a good running game with him. But what is that?
Because that's all he does is run the football. His passing games are horrible other than basically the 1 year that Lamar Jackson was just unbelievable and won MVP. But even then, I think he only had like 3,500 yards or something, 3,300 yards passing. He just runs the football. Like, people are like, oh yeah, his offense gets better. Yeah, it's like, okay, well, in Buffalo, the year before, I think they had Kyle Orton and some no-name running back. Well, then they went and traded for LaShawn McCoy and then got a mobile quarterback in Tyrod Taylor. No wonder your running game got better. You upgraded both, and you run the heck out of your quarterback. I dislike Greg Roman on every level. I do not care about his running stats. I do not care. And I understand he's like top 10 in rushing or top 5 in rushing most years. I don't care. Situationally, he sucks. There's a reason the Ravens fan... I know one Ravens fan that was literally like, if Greg Roman stays another year, I am switching teams. Like, he's that despised in Baltimore because he just always took them out of tough games or close games. I can't stand.
So Bod, are you saying that if he hires Roman, then it's going to be so bad that they're going to fire Ron?
Oh yeah, that's probably He wants to,
Okay.
He's got the black pill or whatever they call it. You got to get hit scorched earth terrible before you can start rising or something like that. Yeah. The earth has been scorching for a long time in here in Washington. But anyway, I just had to say it out loud. Greg Roman would be worst case scenario for me. At least if you have any hope for this year. Yeah, sure. It's a guarantee that Ron's going to get fired next year, which is cool if you want that. But I do not want to don't do it to me. It's like making me root for the butt fumble. I hate it. All right, we touched on this, or we didn't touch on this last week. It did happen last week, but I wanted to touch on it before we get to the Super Bowl. Chase Young's 5th-year option. Is Ron Rivera sending a message to Chase, and is this indicative of a frustration with Chase? That he's actually considering not picking up Chase Young's 5th-year option? Does Roman have a military background? Sorry, that was funny.
All right, that was good.
Yeah.
Give credit where credit's due. I don't know. Ron always plays this stuff like this. And the fact of the matter is Chase had a serious injury that knocked him out for a long time. He came in a couple times, looked really good when he came back. But is he that earth-shattering player that we originally hoped he would be? And maybe he is. I don't know. But is this maybe Ron's way of saying, look, if he comes up and he's Chase, he is Chase. I was trying to think of how to... or he beat.
He beat Chase.
If he beat Chase,
then
what he should be, then I think we keep him. But has he learned more than one move? Heard some really good defensive guys from the Redskins and other people saying he only had one move. Haven't seen enough of him to figure out if he's learned other moves. if he does, I still think he can be a game changer. But why would you come out as Ron and say, "Oh yeah, guaranteed, we're signing up the 5th"? What would be the benefit of that?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no negotiation, right? The Redskins say, "Yeah, we want him for the 5th year. We pay him this much money. It's
correct.
done."
And it does jump big time. I think it goes from $5 million to $17 million. Like, it's a significant jump in the 5th year. But $17 million for your number 2 overall pick is nothing.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but all I'm saying is Chase got hurt. He lost how many games? I can't remember how many games it was.
Well,
more than 10.
Yeah, he was at least out for no, he didn't even play in the Eagles. I think he was out for 12, 13 games.
Yeah, I knew it was more than 10. I didn't know what the number was, but
yeah.
Hey,
because I think his first game was the Giants' second game, right? After that bye week.
That sounds right. Because I can't remember, because every week they're like, Chase is coming back. No, he's not. Chase is coming back.
I think that's week 15. That's insane. I think it was our 14th game. But yeah. All right,
but makes a good point.
This way. Yeah, you know what? I'll read it for you. Yeah. Do we want to pay $18 million for 6 more sacks? All right, look. If you're not going to pick up his 5th year option, it's time to trade him this year. Why? Because not picking up his 5th year option is stupid, in my opinion. It's a lose-lose if you don't pick him up. If you don't pick up his 5th year option. Because either he sucks and you let him walk for free, because now he's a free agent after next year. So now he sucks and you let him walk for free. Or he's great and now you have to pay him. And you thought $17 million is bad next year. Now it's 25. Now it's 30 or something stupid with how the salary cap's going up. If you have decided you're not picking up his 5th year option, then it is time to trade him now. Immediately.
I get that. And I'll go back to my original comment. I just think this is how Ron Rivera works.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to give everything, he basically plays coy with the media. Well, nothing's guaranteed, and, we have some things we have to think about, and I don't think that has anything to do with, I can't imagine that he hasn't had conversations with Chase behind the door in the office.
Yeah.
That says, look, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I need from you. This is what we're going to do. But I'm not telling anybody about that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. This is interesting. So, yeah, I just don't see the benefit here. I don't understand it. I don't see it.
The only other thing I said, again, before is consider the fact that with the whole ownership change and everything and being in flux, maybe the Redskins just aren't doing anything yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
By the way, Truckin, I don't know what you were going to say, but
no, I do. Sam Howell. He just says 2 words all the time because he's so excited about Sam Howell. I know.
Hey, I'm excited about him too. So
yeah. What
I want to see him do really good, but no, that was funny. I was like, I'm not sure. We were talking about Chase.
Yeah, I do. It's all about Sammy. It's all about Sammy. But no, it's I want Chase to work out. I love his enthusiasm. I love that he's a vocal leader on this team. I love his high energy. I love that he gets after it every single play. Obviously, and it's hard because we haven't been able to see him play much over the last year and a half. And we were disappointed with him in his first half of the second year. Last year, it's like, all right, is he really, what's going on? He hasn't been able to practice, blah, blah, blah. I like that he had high energy again, as usual, but he does have to want that drive to improve. Like, even Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, continuously adapted his game, learned more, elevated his game, tried to do as much as he can to learn and love the game as much as possible.
and take less money so they could bring in the players he needed.
Yep, that's true. But it's not only, but even his game has just elevated. Peyton Manning, the same way. His game elevated throughout his career. And these are the greatest of all time. Chase Young is
I don't think
yeah.
I don't think anybody even comes close to Peyton Manning or Tom Brady with how much film they watch.
Yeah.
Not even in the same ballpark.
I'm glad Tim isn't doing the contracts. What'd I do wrong? I don't understand. Like, if he comes out there and gets 15 sacks next year, it's a $25 million market value.
Somebody's going to scoop him up.
At least. But if he comes out with 6 sacks, now you're not paying him anything. And now you're letting him walk for free. That's what I'm saying. Trade him now or not. Anyway. But anyway, it's interesting. It's interesting. I don't like the move by Ron Rivera. I don't think it helps anything. I don't know. I feel like he needed to have a better answer prepared about Chase Young before going into that interview. Or just lie and say, yep, nope, Chase is our man. We're going with it. Because who cares? If you lie and you end up trading him, so what? Nobody's looking at you sideways. Nobody gives a crap. It doesn't matter. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. Take him for what you will. Because I'm right. You heard it here first. No, it's good. All right, you ready to hop into some Super Bowl talk?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, but first you had some stuff for Washington of what records we hold in the Super Bowl. So even after all these years since we've won a Super Bowl, since 91-92 season, we still hold some records. What do you got?
All right. And some of them are good and some of them are bad. The only time a winning team was held scoreless in the second half and one was Washington held Miami scoreless in the second half but lost 14-7. Hold on. There's better ones. Scored the most points in the first half with Denver was 45.
35.
Total points of the half was 45, most ever.
Oh, okay. Between the two teams. I got you.
Fewest points in the second half of a Super Bowl was 7 points, and both times by Washington. And versus Miami and versus Denver, only Washington scored in the second half, and it was only 7 points in each game.
Interesting. Okay.
Most points in the second quarter, 35. You knew that one. Most points in the third quarter were 24, and it was done twice. Washington against Washington.
It's tied.
Washington and Buffalo scored 24 in the third quarter, and Baltimore and San Francisco scored 24 in the third quarter.
Gotcha.
2 Super Bowls made no field goals. It was Washington and Miami and Pittsburgh and Minnesota. Most rushing yards in a game, 280 by Washington versus Denver. Yep. So that record still holds. And this is according to the Commander's Wire. So I didn't go out and verify all these. Highest average per rushing attempt in a game was 7. And it was the Raiders versus Washington. They had 33 to 230, 33 rushes for 231 yards, and against Denver had 40 rushes for 280. Most rushing attempts in the Super Bowl. I'm trying to pull out some of the stuff that's not any big deal. So yeah, they outrushed. The total rushing yards, big deal because there was 280 plus 97. Let's see, fewest passes completed in the Super Bowl game were 4. Washington held Miami to 4 completions.
We hold that?
Held Miami to 4 completions.
Wow.
In Super Bowl 17, they only made 4 completions. Fewest time sacked in a Super Bowl game.
And we lost?
Yes.
Different era, baby. Different era.
13 times the quarterback was never sacked in the Super Bowl, and that was Washington versus Buffalo. Fewest passes completed in the game were 19, where Washington had 15. That was, again, 17. Washington had 15. Miami had 4. Trying to see if there's anything else worth Longest time before a team scored in a game, Super Bowl VII. Washington took 57 minutes and 53 seconds to score. Like I said, not all of these are good records.
Yeah.
Oh, most wins with a different starting quarterback. That was Joe Gibbs, holds the record.
That's
and
amazing.
That's it.
And that's why I do consider him one of the best coaches of all time. It's pretty cool. But
Oh,
all right.
absolutely. Some
What do you think
interesting
about the
trivia.
Super Bowl, then?
It was a hell of a game to watch. Just, I will say this. The one thing that I wasn't screaming at the TV, but I was yelling at Andy Reid when they got that touchdown and they were up by 7. I was saying, go for 2. Because you're either up by 7 and Philly's going to kick an extra point, or if you do the extra point, they're going to go for 2. If you go for 2 and you get it, you're now 2 scores up. So it didn't make sense to me that Andy Reid didn't go for 2 there, and that was one mistake I think he made, because getting the extra point, I know, granted, now Philly's got to score and get a 2-point conversion, but they're still 1 score away. And I just thought, they weren't going for 2 if they tied it. Yeah, if they scored, they were going to go to tie the game. So that was one thing that bothered me about the game. But all in all, I thought it was a really, really good game. I'm amused that the Eagles cheated because of that play, and they said it was uncatchable. I would argue, I don't know that it was uncatchable. Mm-hmm. It would have been close, but he grabbed him and slowed him down. Maybe he makes an unbelievable diving catch. I don't know. But he grabbed his jersey. He slowed him down. The guy beat him on a move, and he grabbed him. So, I will, and all credit to the Philadelphia guy. He said, I grabbed him. I was hoping they were going to let it slide, and they didn't. So a lot of people said, well, he had to because he didn't want to get fined. But I thought it was a good game. I thought both teams played their hearts out, and hey, I was right. Kansas City won, so what's not to like?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I picked the Eagles, and I'd be lying if I didn't say there was some of the good old. The NFL loves to prove Tim wrong, so I had no problem being wrong on this one. So I thought it was going to be a good game, though. I mean, I had the score 30-27. It ends up being 38-35, and the Eagles did exactly what they were supposed to do against Mahomes. They controlled the heck out of the time of possession, limited how many times Pat Mahomes was even allowed to touch the ball. Like, how many possessions did he have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Only 8 possessions. That's like the minimum for every team is 8. And the Eagles did exactly what you were supposed to do, but they made one critical error. And it was that fumble by Jalen Hurts, which does suck because Jalen Hurts did play a great game. He really played extremely well. Running for it on 4th and 5s, making things happen with his legs, making things happen with his arms. He threw over 300. I mean, how many people would have thought, yeah, you have Pat Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts. Which one's throwing for over 300? What are the odds? 95% chance it's Mahomes before it's
absolutely
Jalen Hurts. So he played his butt off, but that one turnover, and now I believe that was the only turnover in the entire game, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it was the only turnover, and it proved so costly in that game because at that point they were up. Before that fumble, they were up 14-7. And if they could drive, because also such a huge mistake right before that was that false start. Remember, they were going to go for the QB sneak on 3rd and 1.
That was huge.
And then they knocked him back 5 yards. The next thing you know, it's fumbled. And it turned into a huge, unfortunate series of events for the Eagles.
Well, and another thing they argued.
Critical error. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. But the other thing was the challenge where they ruled the ball incomplete, that he did not finish. I thought that was a good call.
The Devontae Smith one? down the right sideline.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
he double clutched the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he
I
never made a
good
football
call.
move. He's going down to the ground. He caught it, never made the football move. And also, if that's a catch, then it would have been a catch and fumble
On the other play.
on the other one, right? So you pick your poison here. But no, it's. I thought both calls were fine, and in this scenario, and and also I thought the other one was actually a really good call. Was that Dallas Goedert catch, the tight end, where Andy Reid challenged it and failed.
Yeah.
Right? Because he thought it was an incomplete pass. He had possession over it against his head. And yes, the ball's allowed to move if you have possession. Right? Like, especially if you're adjusting or something. Like, you could have possession of the ball, but the ball is still technically moving. And I thought that was
one. I thought the question whether or not he kept his left foot down long enough for because he did double clutch that ball a little bit, like had it, then didn't have it, then pinned it. Yeah. And the question was, his left foot was down when he started to make the catch. Mm-hmm. But I know that was what the question was. But no, I think they got that call right. Yep. But I don't think, look, I know Philly fans are hurt. I'd be in the same position going, man, if they don't make that call, we get a chance to go down and either tie the game or, win it. And granted, Philly's offense was moving pretty well, but
yeah, they did. Their offense was awesome. It really was. And it was only that one mistake. And then also, Jason Kelce talked about he made one mistake right before that punt that hurt really bad, where he made the wrong line call and it ended up being a sack or like a big pressure or something off the edge. And he's beating himself up about it. He goes, if I make that one right call, maybe we can get the first down there, and that punt never happens. So, but yeah, besides that, in the fumble, I thought Philly's offense was tremendous. Hurts was making incredible. Going back to that Goddard catch on the sideline, that was a dot.
Yeah, I want to know, what is the record for receivers being so wide open for
on touchdowns?
Both of those touchdowns? Yeah.
Yes.
It was like, was that the greatest offensive scheme, or was it just?
There is one player that made all of that work, and it's all about Travis Kelce.
Oh, absolutely.
Travis Kelce.
Because they were all worried about him.
100%. But also the play design was incredible. And also, Trigger with A, just clarify which one. You're talking about the Devontae one, or are you talking about the Dallas Goedert one? Because I think both of them technically got hit in the head, if I remember correct. But I appreciate the super chat. But yeah, just confirm which one you're talking about there. But anyway, the play is so beautiful. Because, yeah, you put him in motion, which then forces the corner to run around the guy that's man-to-man on Kelce. And then once you call the play, your eyes immediately go to Kelce. And instead of going fake, they fake the drag and whip it back out to the flat. Yeah. And you know what they call that play apparently?
Wide open. Oh no! Yeah. What do you know?
It's called corn dog.
Corn dog.
Yeah, so it's called the corn dog because the inside receiver Travis Kelce runs a corner, and then it's a fake drag for the dog.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's why they call it corn dog. But I thought that was a funny name for it. The Goddard catch, yeah, it definitely hit him. It was such a beautiful throw by Jalen Hurts on that pass. He put it. It was right over the corner. The cover two corners, hands, perfect ball placement. I do feel for Jalen Hurts, and you know what? I respect a lot of what the Eagles players and coaches, how they handled it after the game. We always talk about the Eagles fans and how they lack class or whatever, blah, blah, blah. They're some of the nastiest fan base and this, that, whatever. The team handled Jason Kelce, James Bradbury, even Nick Sirianni. He's like, this didn't come down to one play. That call is what it is, right? Like, we held it, whatever, it doesn't matter. This game did not come down to one play. They handled everything with such class in the loss. And Jalen Hurts did the same thing. He's got a bright future, great leader, great mindset, hard worker. I respect the heck out of everybody that I saw speak. Maybe there's some other ones out there that down the roster that were not so.
No,
nice
I
about
thought
the situation.
they were class. And
Yeah.
Antoinette brings up a good point that I wanted to talk about too.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that it was the halftime show that caused that, but apparently they painted the field and the traction on it sucked.
Yes.
But if they did that because of the halftime show, which I think is what she's saying, that it was, I mean, and players were complaining about it, they couldn't even cut. That was horrible. I'm just glad there weren't more injuries.
Yeah.
Because you plant that foot and your foot goes out from. In fact, the who was it? The kicker went to plant his foot. I think he still made it.
Jake Elliott slipped on the kickoff, and he kicked it out of bounds still. Like, it still was a fine kick.
That's what it was. Touchback. But yeah. But he plants his foot, and his foot slides 6 inches to the left. It's like, come on, man.
Yep. Yeah, the field was outrageous. And they had like 50 people on the field after the halftime show just filling divots, just going through the field and just putting grass back in the situation. And yeah, it's so bad. And I thought the halftime show was fine. Rihanna, I thought, did a fine job. And I don't really care about halftime shows, though. I never have. But I had no ill will.
Well, someone was saying, I think it was Greg Gutfeld saying that the halftime show is for the people that don't like the game. And I know there's people out there that like both. But I agree with you. And I mean, there's been some great shows. I think Prince had a good show. There's been a few others where it was like, wow, that was really good. But yeah, when you have a 29-minute halftime and they're talking about players, players are getting stiff, and they were talking about, and I had sent you the text because I thought Patrick Mahomes was done with the way his ankle got.
Unbelievable that he didn't even look like anything wrong. What kind of drugs was he on? Sorry to
I don't know.
On a tangent, but yeah.
No, but what I said to your aunt was, I said, I'll bet you the next day he couldn't walk.
Right.
Because it was adrenaline and whatever else they gave him.
Yeah.
I'm betting the next day when he went to get out of bed, he was like, ooh, my ankle's a little bit messed up. But I thought for sure he was done. And when he came back and played like he played, it was like, incredible. Kudos to him. Yeah.
They went and scored 3 straight touchdowns in the second half. 3 drives, 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
That is GOAT material.
They scored every possession in the second half. Yeah,
and they've got the field goal at the very end. Exactly. And they could have scored a touchdown. And Jerick McKinnon. So there's 2 things that I want to touch on before we move on to Weddle. You're Jerick McKinnon. It's the Super Bowl. You have an opportunity to score a touchdown and potentially the game-winning touchdown.
I know. I saw that.
The Super Bowl. Do you pull up and kneel?
That's a classic team. That's a team player right there.
A game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Well, potentially, but if he scores it there, Philly's got a chance to come down and tie.
True. I know, but you're right. Potentially. But it's a potentially game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl that you just let it go.
Well,
and I guess it's all about winning. It's amazing.
I guess that's something that can be debated because I'm not sure how I feel about that. It was like Strahan when they let him get the sack record by basically the other team, let him come in and sack the quarterback to get the sack record. And it's like, no, don't agree with that. And I'm thinking, dude, you had a touchdown. Sorry. Take the touchdown.
He wants to see a hot dog eating contest. But anyway, sorry. Yes, you got.
Oh, is Andy Reid in there? Because I bet Andy can wait. I bet Andy can eat a hot dog or 2.
Yeah.
But
but no, keep going.
No, I'm just thinking that and again, I go back and forth on it. I understand the team thing, but I'm thinking the play you had a touchdown. Is it sportsmanlike to not take the touchdown and basically shut out the game that way? Or do you give, and again, I go back and forth about it. It's like, you had a touchdown, get the touchdown and let them have a chance to come down and tie it.
Yeah. I have zero care in the world about sportsmanlike. I mean, you're playing to win the game. And I mean, it's just like kneeling at the end of the game. Should you kneel or continue to throw the ball with 2 minutes left? Is that unsportsmanlike conduct to kneel the ball at the end of the game. It's the same concept. You're up by 7, and you don't want to give them the ball back, so now I'm going to kneel it. They have no timeouts to stop me. Like I don't have any.
But if you
go ahead.
No, but I was going to say, yeah, but if you're not going to kneel it, you're going to run the ball, and the clock's going to keep running,
right?
And you're doing that to prevent potential injury yes, turnovers. I'm not naive. I understand that they don't want to turn the ball over, but the option would not be in that situation would not be to pass the ball. The option would be to run the ball, which is going to keep the clock running anyway. So
don't kneel it, run it.
No, I'm just saying. I think that's different. And again, I'm just arguing this or debating this out loud. I don't have I thought dude's a team player, and the thing I read was, here you have a chance to tell your grandchildren about the game-winning touchdown you scored in the Super Bowl, and you kneel on the 1-yard line, and they were like basically giving him a thumbs up. Like,
it's unbelievable. It really is. It's.
He may never get that option again. In fact, it's likely that he never gets.
It's almost a guarantee. Yeah, that is a literal 1 in a billion opportunity. Like, it's insane. So yeah.
But see, easy. That's kind of what I was going back with. It's like, play the game, prove you're better, but to not get the touchdown when you obviously made a play call that gave you a touchdown, and you're like, nope.
Well, okay, hold on. I can say this then. The Eagles let him run.
So you think they wanted?
Oh yeah, Jason Kelce talked about it. They ran a call called like Olay. Like, it was meant to just don't go after him. So both teams at that point are not playing on that play. So if you're just gonna hate on Kansas City, I mean, no. If I have to play, you have to play. Come tackle me.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Right? Is it unsportsmanlike conduct to let me run into the end zone untouched? Like, so yeah, I don't know. I don't agree with that at all. But all right, the last thing that I want to talk about, and then we can move on to Weddle and call it a show. Pat Mahomes at under age 27, or 27 and under, compared to Brady 27 and under. We know that Brady started later. We understand that, but only 1 year later. And it's a little bit different era, different teams, blah, blah, blah. Didn't have Andy Reid, this, that, the third. But the point is, he's got 24,000 plus yards. Tom Brady only had 13,000 and some change. He's got 192 touchdowns. I believe Tom Brady only had 96. He also has less interceptions with twice as many touchdowns. I think it was like 56 interceptions to like 61 or something like that. Are we talking about the greatest quarterback of all time in Patrick Mahomes? Not today. He's got to prove it more. But his resume already at 27 years old is absolutely ridiculous in Patrick Mahomes. How many Super Bowls does he need to win, or what does he need to do to become better than Tom Brady as far as the greatest quarterback? Obviously, he's got more talent. Tom Brady's not the most talented ever. Tom Brady's not everything. As far as like...
No, Tom Brady is cerebral and a good pass thrower.
Right, but he has all the accolades individually. 7 Super Bowls on both conferences, both AFC and NFC championship games. So on a team level and individual level, MVPs, total stats, the whole 9. He's got everything to make him the greatest quarterback of all time. Where like MVPs, Super Bowl MVPs, stats, at what point would you consider Pat Mahomes the greatest quarterback of all time?
Give him a couple years. I mean, right now he's playing.
That's all he needs is a few more years.
Let me just say this: give him time for him to be considered the best.
Yeah, but I'm saying, okay, giving him the time. Does he need to have more passing yards at the end of his career? Does he need to have more Super Bowls, the same amount, or can he have a few less? Like, what's the minimums that he would need to achieve for you to consider him have a better career and the greatest quarterback of all time over Tom Brady?
I think he's got to get to at least 5 Super Bowls.
5 Super Bowls? I kind of agree, because then he would be in clear second. I've thought about that too. I think 5, I kind of like 5 because he would have more than Terry Bradshaw, more than Joe Montana. 5 Super Bowls would be pretty darn impressive. Okay. I like that. And at that point, and then what?
Well, what is he? Is this his 4th year?
5th. He just finished his 5th
5th.
season.
And he's
starting.
been to how
It's
many?
technically his 6th year.
So how many AFC championships has he been to?
5.
Right. So he's
He's
on a
been to
good
3
path.
Super Bowls. Yeah.
And look, Tom Brady, love him, his skills or whatever. I know there's people that have a problem with him, but the fact is he left the Patriots to go to an absolutely stacked team in Tampa Bay.
They were. And then he added more pieces to it with Rob Gronkowski,
right. He
Antonio
did
Brown,
not
Leonard Fournette. Yeah.
He did not go there by accident. So I don't hold a lot of so great. They won a Super Bowl because he's a really good quarterback and that's what they needed. But I don't put that in the same category of what him and Belichick did with the Patriots. But Belichick also gave him a really, really good defense too. But I don't know. It's hard to compare. I think Mahomes, as I was going to say earlier, that with Tom Brady being cerebral and a good passer, I think Patrick Mahomes has those 2 attributes, and he's a hell of an athlete and improviser. He's smart. The game is so slow to him right now.
It's
to use
incredible.
That expression.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like he sees everything so clearly, and the passes he can make with the sidearms, the left-handed one, but again, how you measure the greatest, like who's better, Peyton Manning or Tom Brady? Well,
So,
apparently,
it is interesting because I agree. It's like, how do you consider it? My favorite quarterback of all time, well, it might now be Pat Mahomes, but before Pat Mahomes came about, I was a huge Peyton Manning fan, massive Peyton Manning, and it does take a lot of luck to win Super Bowls, right? And not to take anything away from anybody that's won Super Bowls, but we all know there's a call here or there. There's this. Your teammate could fumble. Like Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl against the Seahawks, the very first play, his freaking center hikes it over his head 20 yards, and they end up giving him a safety or a touchdown or one of the two. It's like that's not Peyton Manning's fault.
Marino. You look at Dan Marino.
Yep.
Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. He was a really, really good quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. So Omaha. I loved Peyton Manning, and Peyton Manning to me. If you told me, okay, same amount of money, same team, same everything, I'm taking Peyton Manning.
Yeah, and like to Bod's point, he made the choice when Peyton went to the Broncos.
Yep.
Awesome. Again, went to a stack. He won a Super Bowl when he couldn't turn his freaking head because of a neck injury.
Yep.
I don't think he could throw the ball 10 yards. Maybe.
It was horrible. Yeah, it was like he could throw it 20 yards as a duck.
Yeah.
It was horrible. Yeah.
Let me give it a
30.
Let me give it
but
30.
That's the thing. It was so incredible because he had to throw with such anticipation and still beat a good defense in Carolina because he had no zip. It's like the unbelievable mind that he has in that huge noggin of his to be able to read the defense and put it only where his guy could get it with zero physical ability, basically. Like his arm strength in Madden was like 20, 15 on a good day, right? It was terrible. But anyway, enough about Peyton Manning. I think I agree with you on 5 Super Bowls, and if Pat Mahomes plays till 40 years old and ends up with 5 Super Bowls, I'm sure by that time he'll have all the stats and stuff too, and his winning percentage is going to be incredibly high and all that, the whole nine. I would consider him the greatest all time when he plays till 40 and has 5 Super Bowls. I would consider him there. But anyway, that's my opinion. And it's right, as usual. All right, let's do this. Share screen. Bang. 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 All right, who are we starting with?
You know what? We're going to go with Chad Henne.
The real GOAT. The real mastermind behind the Chiefs.
Oh, my
Chad
God. Nothing.
Henne. And yeah, we literally got nothing. All right, so we know we're short. We're higher than number 4. That doesn't help anybody. We're younger than 37. Doesn't help anybody. We're not in the AFC, though. We're in the NFC, so that's good. Let's go with... We're not a quarterback. Let's go running back. Let's go with McKissick. Ooh, okay. Interesting. You know who's 5'10" that I didn't realize is 5'10"? Oh, but hold on. 24 or 25 years old. I'm just going to write this here. I'm pretty sure Dalvin Cook is only 5'10". Yeah, he is. Only 5'10". But he's not... Oh, wait. This is not his age. This is his number. Oh, so number 24, number 25. Interesting. I got the age and numbers mixed up. That's my fault. Okay, so we are number 24 or number 25 running back. And we're young. Is that like
NFC
Rachaad White? No. It's not.
So it's NFC
West.
It's not NFC South, so it's got to be NFC West.
Yep, it's NFC West.
Which is Seattle?
Yeah, so who's number 24 and number 25? That's 24 years old.
Running back.
Interesting. Because Cam Akers is such a low number, so that's not it. It's not McCaffrey. He's not 24. Oh wait, is it Elijah Mitchell? Bang. Bang, 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 bang. All right, what do we got?
All right, let's go with the other brother, the other Kelsey brother.
Jason?
Philly. Yeah.
Jason Kelsey.
And how good did...
Right. Yeah?
I mean, I can only imagine what their mom was going through, where she's got the joy of one of her sons winning the Super Bowl and the pain of another one, and the hug they showed her give Jason. It was like, it had... And they put together that jersey, which was funny. She said the look on Jason's face when she walked in with the... Because Travis got it for her. And she walks in with the KC
87.
jersey on from what he could see, and he was like, looked at her, and then she turned around, and then he started laughing, but he was like, oh, so you're going to wear... But yeah, how bad, how hard does that have to be to console one guy and yet want to jump through the roof? I'm pretty sure we know there's never been a mother in that position before, but anyway.
Yeah, never been a mother in that position for sure. Yeah, no, it was pretty cool to... It had to be a heck of a week, knowing that one of your sons were going to win. And she got what she wanted. She said, I wanted as much offense as possible. And it's 38-35 with the second highest total in a Super Bowl or something like that. Absolutely incredible. But anyway, back to this.
Yeah.
All right, so we got...
All right, so that means it's an offensive position, though, right? Because center is
correct.
Yellow.
In the AFC, we are short, so we're not an lineman. We're younger than 35. We're lower than 32. So we got to go with like a shorter receiver in the AFC. I don't know why, but this is coming to mind, and I'm just going to go with it. Oh, wait, maybe not. Paris Campbell just was a name that randomly came to me, and here we go. All right,
so it's not the South. It's not a wide receiver.
Not a wide receiver, but most likely
a running back
with this height. Yeah, another running back with this height in the AFC.
Right, under 6 feet, huh?
Let's go with it's a young running back, probably. A young running back in the AFC. I mean, there's a lot that we can go with, but let's do...
What about McKinnon?
McKinnon is on the... No, wait, it could be... No, McKinnon's not that young. McKinnon's old. I'm going to go with Breece Hall.
Oh, is he?
Okay. Breece Hall's 6'1". Interesting. Okay. And he's really young. I didn't realize how young he was. But it's not the AFC East. Not number 20. So we got a relatively low number. It is a running back. All right, we got AFC North. Is it J.K. Dobbins, maybe? Dobbins? Nope. not Dobbins. And we are in the West again, but this time the AFC West. Is it Javonte Williams?
Set.
Javonte Williams. No, it's not Javonte. Good night. All right.
So would that be the Raiders? I'm trying to remember the Raiders are in the AFC West, right?
Yes. It could be the Raiders with White, maybe? Kazir White, or whatever the heck his name is. Oh, crap. I picked the wrong one. It's not Kazir.
You just wasted.
What the heck's his name? Zamir White. They got me with Kazir first. It's Zamir White is what I was trying to say. And it's still not him. That's unfortunate. I knew it was Amir.
So we only get 6 guesses. We only get 6 guesses or 7?
No. We got 3 more guesses. We're good. We got 10 guesses. All right. So, not the Raiders. We do have a 23-year-old. So we're either on the Chiefs or we're on the other team, the Chargers. Is it Roundtree? Oh, is it Pacheco? Pacheco's a great guess. It could be Pacheco. It is Pacheco.
Boom.
I guess like my mind was saying they would not go so cliche with Pacheco because he just actually had a pretty good Super Bowl game recently. But yeah, interesting. So I just had a mind block there. Stupid Kazir White. But anyway, all right. Well, that's another show. Boom, you got it. That's right. Isaiah P, however you spell it. Pacheco. Yeah, you got it first. MP was the one I read to say Pacheco, but yes, Just Know did get it first.
They work together but anyway, yep, good show. Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
All right, so big shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate all of you. Make sure that you go check out my player breakdowns. I've got another one coming out tomorrow. I already recorded that one, and I'm going to be doing one a day. If you become a channel member for 99 cents, you'll get the early access to those videos. So a few of you are taking advantage of that. I appreciate it. But yeah, make sure you go check those out. And it really helps the algorithm if you hit that quickly for me. Hit the like button. Maybe even if you're not even watching it per se, but you just let it play. That helps, and you can go back and watch it later. Definitely helps the algorithm for that. But I appreciate you just watching it. Hit the like button anytime that you get the access to it. But yeah, those will be coming out. But make sure you hit the like button of this. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Also in the description below, there's a Discord link. Hop on our Discord and come talk some football with us. And become a channel member like I just said. Thank you, J-Dubs, for another good show. And we will see you next week. And remember, there's not going to be as many streams now throughout this up until draft. Most of it is going to be videos that I'm going to be putting out content for my player breakdowns from here on out. So make sure you do that. But anyway, all right, that's my spiel at the end, and I will see you next time. And until next time, see ya!